Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to recap a 2001 romance drama movie named Sex and Lucia. So let's begin. Lucia is a waiter who works at a nearby restaurant. While at work, she calls her boyfriend Lorenzo, who she had issues with before leaving home. She tries to apologize to Lorenzo for speaking to him harshly, and she claims it's her fault for being so hard on him. He tells her it isn't her fault, as she was right about everything. She tells him she is fine with him, and he doesn't need to make extra efforts, but he insists she is right about the fact that she is living with a sick person, and she can leave if she sees the need to. She tells him they will work on whatever issues they have, and she can take a leave, so they would go on vacation to his childhood island he had always spoken about, so they can work on themselves, sort out their issues, and have fun with each other. However, he refuses. She picks up her coat and tells her boss that she has to meet Lorenzo. Her boss jokingly comments that what Lorenzo needs is for her to take him to a shrink. She runs home hurriedly, and she enters the house screaming his name in a high voice. She attempts to switch on the window, but finds out the bulb has been broken. She sees some suspicious thing, the kitchen door and window, so she goes to the kitchen. She checks through the kitchen window as she screams Lorenzo's name. One of the items in the kitchen scares her, and she also receives a call. She returns to the sitting room to pick up the call, and lying beside the phone booth is a letter from Lorenzo. She picks up the call, and the caller is the police. They ask if that's Lorenzo's apartment, and if she is his relative. She tells them she is his girlfriend, and she notices the letter. In the letter, Lorenzo tells her he is leaving to never come back. He begs her not to find him and says he leaves her with everything but himself. Then she goes to take a flight out of the country to Lorenzo's most spoken about the island, but has recently hated. Upon reaching there, she logs into a hotel and goes to the restaurant. Later, a man comes to speak to her, but she runs away. While riding away, she goes down the lane of emotions and talks about when she first met Lorenzo, about 6 years earlier. 6 years ago, she finds herself around a hole, and Lorenzo is in the same pool, having sex with an unknown woman. Unfortunately for Elena, she gets pregnant from that encounter. She stays in her room, looking at her stomach as she tries to make several calls to her boss. She is unable to reach him, so she leaves him a message that she is pregnant and she is going to look for her sugar daddy. On the other hand, Lorenzo, a writer experiencing writer's block, speaks to his colleague about wanting to write a novel and trying to find out if he is indeed cut fit to be a writer. He goes to pick a cigarette and he meets Lucia. She tells him she has something important to tell him, and despite leaving a friend, he waits to speak to her. She tells him she knows him, and she knows all about him. She has read his books, and she also stalks him. She tells him she works at the restaurant opposite the bar, and her boss is good, but he wants her to live in with him. However, she has decided that the person she wants to live in with is Lorenzo, and she is deeply in love with Lorenzo. He is shocked about her confidence, and she also tells him that he is free to walk out and return to his friend. But she tells him he will fall in love with her, and they leave for another bar where they drink and smoke before he carries her home drunk. She tells him to do everything he wants on her, but he doesn't do anything. The following day, she wakes up first, and she goes around the house. On the other hand, Elena gives birth to a female child. Lorenzo also starts falling in love with Lucia. At present, Lucia goes to the beach with the man Carlos, whom she met at her hotel, and she watches him dive. As he finishes, they talk about diving and become friends. Then, he takes her to the motel he stays. At the motel, she meets the motel owner, Elena, the same one for the nightstand with Lorenzo, and Elena welcomes her. Elena asks if she will stay for dinner and also informs her it's a motel in case she wants to lodge at their place. She takes Lucia around the house, and Lucia finds a room and lodges there. The following day, Lucia and Elena get along well. They talk about Carlos, and Lucia asks Elena what's between herself and Carlos. Elena says they only have casual sex, and she thinks it's better that way. And then Lucia remembers her past with Lorenzo again. Lorenzo keeps writing his book, and he gives her the manuscript to read. She reads it, but she tells him the novel is too happy, and she was expecting a sad ending, like his first novel. He is disappointed, so he walks away. On his birthday, he meets with his editor and friend during an emergency birthday party. His editor reminds him of that same day about 4 years ago when he met a random woman. He tells him that his sister is working as a babysitter to a girl she helped deliver off about 4 years ago. And the girl is Luna, his one-night stand child from Elena. He doesn't want Elena to know about him, so he goes to Luna's school to visit her in secret. There he meets Luna's nanny, Belen. Lorenzo keeps writing about what he is experiencing at the moment. Belen plays porn videos while Antonio is around, and she gets what she wants from him. She narrates this to Lorenzo, who is excited about the points in his book. She invites him to Elena's house, saying Elena won't be around, and Elena will allow her to bring a boyfriend. So as he gets there that evening, they have dinner, and he reads Luna a story to sleep. As Luna sleeps off, he goes to Belen, and they start having sex. While they have sex, Luna wakes up and comes to their room. She knocks and interrupts them, and they watch as the family dog assumes Luna as an enemy and knocks her out, thereby killing her. Lorenzo runs away in fear, while Belen is hospitalized. In the hospital, Elena calls Belen to tell her it's comforting to hear Belen cry. Lorenzo also gets depressed. He stops writing, and Lucia feels concerned. His books are filled with just sex and darkness, and it affects his relationship with Lucia too. He meets with his editor, who tells him Elena is fine and she is on the island, so he starts chatting with her. One night, he wakes from the bed and tells her he is ending the book. He concludes it and tells Lucia he wants to stop being a writer. This causes the argument they had the day she left home. It turns out Lorenzo is alive and at the hospital, trying to recover. On the other hand, Lorenzo wakes up. He asks his friend about Lucia, and his friend says Lucia has assumed she is dead and she may be on the island, so he decides to go to the island. At the island, Elena confronts Carlos. She refuses to let things go again and asks if Carlos was the one in the room when her daughter died. He denies it, saying it's another man. Belen met with her daughter, and the man is missing. Elena sends Carlos away and decides to call the police, but Lucia, who is now connecting the dots, goes to find Carlos. As Elena changes Lucia to bring her back, she meets Lorenzo. She hugs him and cries for the first time. Then she goes towards the beach to find Lucia. As Lucia gets home, she meets Lorenzo and she goes to hug him. The two women try to understand the situation, and the movie ends here. Thank you for watching. See you soon.